Hey everyone, this is Josh from Visto for another episode of Talent Tips. I am here with Nino Melikidze. Nino, thanks so much for coming on the show today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Let's jump in. Nino, can you tell everybody a little bit more just about who you are and what you're working on these days?
Yes, of course. So, hi everyone. My name is Nino. I'm based out of Toronto, Canada. I work in a variety of things. So, for my so-called professional career, I'm a software project manager, scrum master. I also dabble in startup operations and product management. I freelance on a platform called TopTal, and I basically acquire new clients along the way and work on new interesting projects, usually in blockchain these days. And for my passion and for my business, I work on VisaWire, which is essentially an employment service marketplace for skilled immigrants that are moving to Canada. And I'm working on this because I am an immigrant myself, and I really want to help these people kind of find good jobs and establish their careers in this country.
Absolutely. As someone working on a platform like Visto, our intentions and interests are very much aligned. So I was really happy to have you on. And, I think it'll put you in a very good position to answer our second and favorite question, which is, can you give 3 tips to aspiring immigrants who are looking to land their first job in Canada?
Yes, of course. Oh, wow. There's actually like so much that's going through my head about like what I could say.
It's a
And
loaded question.
it's a loaded question. I think we discussed a lot of this during our podcast episode as well. But I think the first and foremost is that you have to be strategic about it. I think a big misconception that even I had when I was an international student in the US and a lot of immigrants have is that the more that you apply to, the better your odds are. Like, I'm just going to put my resume together and toss it out into space, and the universe is going to align and I'm going to get the job. And maybe back in the day it was like that. It was maybe a numbers game. But right now, it's all about relationships, about who you know, and especially from my personal experiences, more so in Canada than in the US. The market is smaller, it's more tight knit, it's all about who you know. So I would say just be very strategic about how you're going about your job search process. Don't just create one resume and send it out to hundreds of companies. Maybe create multiple ones depending on what roles you want to be applying to. Tailor them to what you want to be doing, understand the job descriptions, and most importantly, and that ties into my second piece of advice, start building relationships. It could be with other professionals that are in your space. Go to networking events. Go talk to people that are working in the companies that you like. If you like any influencers on LinkedIn, maybe reach out to them, talk to them, ask about their experiences. And it shouldn't be because, oh, you want to get something from them. It's because you want to build these relationships. I had that experience myself. I went to networking events nonstop when I moved to Toronto simply because I wanted to learn what it's all about. And the third piece of advice I would say is be confident, because I find that immigrants frequently bring themselves down because they might not have an Americanized accent, or they do not speak English really well, or because they think they're just not as good as the people that are already here. But think about it this way: you were born in another country. You went through everything, went through schooling in a different place, moved here, either did schooling here, or like if you did undergraduate here. That's such a huge learning curve. You built new relationships, you get went through the paperwork, and you're putting yourself down and you think you're less confident than the other ones. You are significantly more resilient, and you're so talented to have made it out. And I think that's a really big piece of advice I have, and I constantly say that to my immigrant friends as well. Like, they'll look at the job description and maybe they don't have like 15% what's on it, and they'll say, I won't apply. And I'm like, no, apply.
Hmm.
You have to apply. So yeah, that's my three pieces of advice.
Yeah, it's great advice. I always try to. I'm born and raised in Canada. I visited other countries. I've never moved countries, and just to even think about, like, if I was dropped on the ground in another country and said, "Okay, start your life here with
Yeah.
nothing," like I wouldn't even know where to start. So, totally, the third point especially really sticks out and makes a lot of sense. The third
Yeah.
question, is do you or clients or partners have any open roles right now that you're hiring for that you wanted to highlight?
Good question. So, a lot of the work that I do with VisaWire currently is I'm building it as a service marketplace. And the primary focus is on employment and career services, things that can help people upskill and find jobs. So, I currently do already have a platform on there for people that are basically newcomers in Canada or are planning to move to Canada soon. And if they're looking for jobs in Canadian tech space, there is a platform called Hired Hippo, and they help these people find jobs in Canadian startups, and they have this unique matching algorithm for jobs. So if you're interested in finding jobs there, it's completely free for you, and it helps you create a cool profile and land interviews with leading Canadian tech startups.
Very cool. And that's Adam, right, at Hired Hippo?
That is Adam and Hired
Adam's a
Hippo,
great
correct?
guy. Yeah, Adam's a
Yes.
great guy. So we'll include links to those in the description as well. Last question for you, Nino, is can you give a shout out to someone in the Canadian HR talent or recruitment space?
Yes, I can. And this is going to be a little bit immigration focused as well, simply because that is the space I follow the closest. But there's two people I want to mention. You probably have heard of them as well. The first is Pat Chaisung. She is the co-founder and CEO of Eisenpower, and that's a platform that helps international students land jobs in Canadian companies after graduation. They help them they have a boot camp for putting their like resume, cover letter, basically making them employable and then matching them with job opportunities. Pat is a huge thought leader both in the immigration and immigrant hiring spaces. So I have a lot of respect for the work that she's doing and how she's changing the thought process around hiring international students. And the second person is Toby Oluwole. He is the
Hmm.
co-founder of Three Skills. You've probably seen him.
I
He works
know
for
Toby very
Shopify.
well. Yeah.
He has incredible content. She's actually a guest on my podcast as well. And he gives out so many actionable tips regarding like recruiting, how things can be changing and how to improve the candidate experience. So those are the two ones I would definitely highlight.
Awesome. Nino, those are great tips, great suggestions. If anybody wants to learn more about VisaWire or get in touch with you, learn more about you, connect with you, where do you recommend they go?
They can reach out to me on my LinkedIn. I am very open to and responsive there as well. Also, they can find us on visawire.app and also they can find us on Instagram.
Awesome. We will link to all those in the description below. Nino, thanks again for coming on the show.
Thank you so much for having me.